broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing aftershows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows, interviewing celebrities and showrunners, and bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
What doesn't kill you makes you strong.
Hello, everybody. You are watching and listening to AFTERBUZZ TV's American Idol. Before we get started, I want to make sure you're subscribed to our YouTube channel. Anytime you comment, we will write you back. And if you're on iTunes, make sure you subscribe there, rate us, give us 5 stars, or less if you think we deserve it. We have a very interesting show tonight because it's just me. My dreams have finally come true, and I have this whole time just to tell you my opinion of the show. I'm Jason Ikeler, and if you want to tweet me, it's just me tonight. So I'll read your tweets, and we can talk about that on the air. We're using the hashtag ABTVIdol. Josh, we got you back there in the booth. You good? You ready for this?
I'm ready for this. You got this, Jason.
I got this. Going solo. If you don't like my opinions, I'm sorry, because that's all you're going to get. So tonight we picked the first half of the top 24, which we've kind of been eagerly awaiting. I feel like a lot of them were obvious because Idol this season is really, really trying to get us to connect with their artist. And I think it worked, actually. I remember everybody that sang today. So that's good. Good job, American Idol team. I talked about this a little bit on the show, but I saw the top 24 perform the day that they were chosen. And that just goes to show sort of how much of a cycle these kids go through. But they got picked, and then they had to go in a room and perform for a room full of like press and people who are influential on social media. So literally, and preparing them for the entertainment industry. They're going to have to go. So basically, they're going to pick 12 guys, 12 girls. They each sang at House of Blues, which is something different Idol did this season. And I think that's kind of cool because it really does help prepare them more for the music industry, because you're going to have to be singing in front of live audiences. And I do think it did make or break a lot of the performances tonight. And House of Blues is just such an iconic venue anyways that I thought that was kind of an exciting place for them to be. So first up was Michael Simeon, and he sang Classic by MKTO. I actually thought this was a really good song choice for him because he is kind of setting himself up to be the crooner. And this is a very like crooning song, but also current, which is important. I didn't like his arrangement. He started it off kind of slow. And then when he picked it up and like ripped off his bow tie, I thought that was really good. I will say for Michael, my criticism, and I know we're not supposed to talk about how they look, is he has to wear better clothes, especially if you're going to strip your clothes off. They need to fit. It kind of looked like a kid whose mom let him get dressed, and mom needed to help this kid out. But he made it to the top 24. I think he actually will be one to watch. I remember in the performance we saw when he walked up on the stage, because he doesn't necessarily look like what you would think a star would look like, but he walks up on the stage and then gets into the song, and by the end of it, when he's doing the rap thing, which was a risk, he really was able to sort of win over the crowd. So I'm excited to see what he sings next. We want to know what you guys think. Again, hashtag ABTVIdol. What do you think he should sing next? What do you want to hear him sing in the live performances? I feel like if he keeps continuing down the MKTO route, that'll be good. Just sing like songs where you can show your voice, but also that are going to get the young girls to fall for you. And it's just fun and makes you want to download it. Next up was Lauren Lott. She sang My Heart Will Go On by Celine Dion. And we've kind of been on the show this season back and forth about her. I know Violet does not like her. She has a very bright quality to her voice, and I've sort of been on the fence. And I'm actually going to say, from the small clip we did see of her tonight, I don't think this was her best performance, and I probably would have said no based on this performance. Her vowels were so bright that it almost reminded me of like an SNL sketch where they're making fun of Celine Dion. And she just seemed a little too cheery. And I don't know, this song is a sad song about Titanic. So I don't know, maybe be a little more sad. And it did come off a little bit jokey, but I think she is very likable, and that's going to be what sells for her. I do think maybe she should have hopefully has gotten voice lessons and some vocal coaching before she comes back for the live rounds, because there are a lot of issues there, and I think the talent is there, but even when she sings, like her soft palate in the back of her mouth is always lowered. And when you're singing, especially powerful songs like that, technique is so important if you're going to take on some of the greats like Celine Dion. I don't know how far she'll go. I'm not like sold either way. I think maybe if she is getting help in voice lessons, she might have the ability to make it to the top 10. But based on what I've seen so far, I will be pleasantly surprised if she does. Next up is Adam Ezegelian, and he's saying, "Here I go again." Adam has a great voice and a great personality, and I remember watching him sing at the top 24, and he's definitely memorable. I have a couple issues with him. When he sings, he reminds me of like a Jack Black impersonator, and I know I've said that on the show again, but it's been consistently impersonating, I think, throughout this competition, and I'm a little afraid he's going to pigeonhole himself almost like Caleb Johnson did last year. And yes, he won American Idol, but he also went on to sell the least number of copies in the history of American Idol, and I think it just kind of shows, if you can sing this type of music, great, but how are you going to take this music and relate it to what's going on the radio right now and make it current? And I think what Adam should do is hit us completely somewhere left to center. I don't know, maybe sing like a ballad by a female and make it your own, because right now you're just kind of comparing him to things. Or he does sort of have that Jack Black quality when he's singing where it is a little bit laughable, because I mean, he's a funny guy, so that comes across, and he's got a great voice. He's super, super talented. But I think even looking in the mirror when you sing is something really important to do, because this guy's eyes get so big when he's singing that it's laughable is the nicest way to put it. And he's very talented, and he was a very nice guy when we met and talked to him. So hopefully if he can sing something, I would sing something more current and stop singing like, I know you like these classic rock songs, but you're not going to sell records doing that, because he's not doing anything that different that makes me want to download his version instead of the originals. But he made it, so good for you, Adam. Next up was Cody Fry, who sang Coldplay, and I know this has been one of JC's favorites in the competition, and I think Cody is a really good singer, but they always say on these shows, like, you have to have the it quality or the X factor or star quality, and I don't think when he walks into the room that I even remember him. And so when he walks in, I'm like, oh yeah, Cody, he's talented, but I don't think he has that quality about him that makes you want to like go on YouTube and watch his videos. And I don't know, I compare him to somebody like a Gavin DeGraw or something, and I think he sort of lacks soul, and maybe that's just life experience, but I think somebody like him needs to go out there and play more live shows and connect with an audience, and maybe start writing songs, and that'll help him develop his sound a little bit more, because it does kind of sound like he's just not ripping off people, but taking the same like vocal tricks that maybe like a Gavin DeGraw would take. And I think playing for live audiences, you kind of see how people react to your sound and the noises you're making with your instrument. And so I think for him, he's somebody that I'd like to see come back next year and see what he can do then. And he unfortunately had to go tonight. Up next was Lovey James, and she's a 17-year-old. I didn't actually write down what she's saying. She reminds me, her personality, of like Rachel Berry on Glee, which was actually a compliment coming from me. But she grew up in pageants, and she's very like, this is what I've been doing my whole time. I think for me, the problem with her is there's just too much going on, from her look, like over accessorized with everything, and even like her vocal tricks. Just because you can do a vocal trick doesn't mean you should. And I think some of the most powerful performances you see are when people hold back until the end and then they hit you in the bridge, or they start out powerful and then get really slow. And I feel like with her, she was doing everything, which I get, you have one performance to prove all of this, but I think that's where like the artists come into play, and they know how to move the audience with their art. So Lovey didn't really do that for me. And if you watch, she has really poor technique with her mouth. She's got a lot of jaw tension, and her vocal cords look like they're tensed up. And that worries me for anybody going into the live rounds like that, because when you're in the live rounds for these shows, you are literally like recording videos all day and practice all day, learning your group numbers all day, doing press. There's so much going on that if you're not taking care of your voice and you're singing incorrectly, you're going to ruin it. And I mean, it's happened to a lot of people after the show. They go into they have to go in vocal rest permanently, or they'll get nodules because, not permanently vocal rest, but vocal rest for a little bit, and they'll get nodules because they're singing incorrectly. And especially her, she's singing really big, so she's really sort of ruining her voice. So hopefully she'll get her technique down a little bit. Next up, we kind of had what was similar to like an Idol in memoriam. We had a bunch of no's in a row. We got rid of Hector. We got rid of Janon. We got rid of Reno. He did not handle it well. And I think that just almost goes to show that he's not ready for it. Because he apologized to his family for not making it. Too much pressure on the kid. I think he's, like 16? So hopefully he, again, I think needs to play live shows. I think anybody that gets kicked off this show that has good voice, figure out what makes you different, and just being a good singer doesn't make you different. Start writing songs, start playing in different sorts of venues, start collaborating with other artists, and I think those are the people that come back and do good, are the people that you can tell know their sound, know how to harness them, know their brand. We also got rid of Zach and Hannah. I don't remember Hannah or Zach, so that's probably good that they're gone. Okay, up next was Adana. I'm going to screw up her last name. It starts with a D. Adana D. She has a great vocal, and she blew us away at Hollywood Week. I remember all of us being like, I don't know, I didn't think she was going to be that good. And I think she's actually tried out for the show a couple times. But her voice tonight was insanely good. I think the only problem was, if you were watching like the crowd reaction at House of Blues, is she was not connecting with the audience. And she was up there giving it her all. But you can give it your all, but like make eye contact with who you're singing with. And if the audience isn't feeling it, figure out a way to get them amped up. It's not just about performing for the cameras, which is important, but on camera we can tell if you're connected with the audience, and that makes more of a powerful performance. I do feel like she has potential to blow us away, though. She seems really into it. She has a great personality, and she is a powerhouse singer, which I think, I don't know, it's always exciting to see powerhouse singers on this show because it is American Idol, and those are a lot of the ones that go on to have huge careers. So I wouldn't be surprised if she made it to the live rounds or to the top 10 either, but I think she just needs to make sure that she is connecting more. Okay, up next we did a sing-off actually with Maddie Walker, who's a 16-year-old. She sang at House of Blues, Big Girls Don't Cry. And a critique for Maddie, I would say, is when she was singing, all of the notes were like up here, and there wasn't like, she didn't like hold back at all, and there was like no push and pull in the song until it ended. And I feel like she really needs to get that unlocked. She also needs to get rid of those red streaks in her hair, because those aren't doing her any favors. She went up against Rachel Hollick, who sang Gunpowder and Lead. And again, this was a good performance, but it reminded me of like a good karaoke performance. There was no way I was watching her and thinking like, wow, she did that better than Miranda Lambert. So then the judges originally told Maddie no, which I have to imagine if you're 16 years old, you get told no, you're like freaked out, and then they call you back in. This is what reality TV is all about, and it's an emotional roller coaster. And I think that's why a lot of times people are like, these kids are too young to be on those shows, because that's a lot for a kid to handle, but she handled it well. So they had a sing-off, and this is sort of when Maddie won me over. She sang Red High Heels by Kelly Pickler. And I thought this is the perfect song for her. It's young, it's fun, it's country, and it showed off her voice really well. And I think what Maddie has that can be her edge in the competition is not only is she a country singer, but she can just sing. She could, I think, nail a Martina McBride song or something with like a lot of range, which a lot of the times the country singers we get on the show are a little more folky, who don't necessarily have the range. Rachel sang Son of a Preacher Man, and I was a little confused because you're singing a cappella, so you get to pick the key, and I felt like she sang it so low that she sort of forced herself to struggle. So I thought just based on vocals alone, Maddie won it for me. And I actually didn't like how, I'm sure the producers made her say this, but Maddie did end up winning, and Rachel was just kind of like, well, I should have won over Maddie because I've had more experience. Well, yeah, maybe you have had more experience, but you just blew your audition. Not blew, but Maddie did better than you, and that's life. Come back next time. Okay, next up is Clark Beckham, who sang Georgia. Not necessarily based on what we saw on TV tonight, but I will say when the top 24 performed for us in the press, that was without a doubt one of the best live performances I've seen in my life. He had so much command of the room, and he doesn't necessarily look like somebody that walks up on the stage and you're like, oh, I want to watch him. He's just sort of like the boy next door. But the way he played the piano and the like vocal inflections that he does with his voice are so powerful. Every single person in the room was speechless. We got chills watching him. And I think he's going to go really far in the competition. He has the likability and the musicality. and just the ability to connect with the audience. And I'm so excited to see what he does next. And I think he could even do, I know he's sort of like the typical white guy with the guitar American Idol winner, but I think if he really emphasizes his voice and maybe does like a Michael Bublé song or a John Mayer song, he can really win us over. Up next was Daniel Seavey, the 15-year-old cute little kid. What I like about him that I think we lacked a lot last season is we had all these young kids on the show, but he can connect with the audience so well. I remember when he walked in the room when we saw him perform, every single person went, "Ah," and then we were picturing him to sound like, I don't know, just like a cute little boy voice. And then he sings and he has this like really soulful sort of grungy voice. And not only that, but he sings a Paula Abdul song, which is completely left to center, but he completely made it his own. And I think maybe this is, and I'm a big fan of Sam Wolf from last season, but I feel like maybe this is what Sam Wolf lacked, the ability to like flirt with girls in the audience. And I mean, that's what you need. And if you're looking for the next One Direction or the next Hunter Hayes or anything like that, you have to connect with the audience, and he has that. And I think regardless of what happens with him on the show, he can go on to be a huge star. I think out of everyone we've seen, he has the capability and the look to sort of just take it by storm. Okay, up next was Chiana Jones. She's a 17-year-old. She has the inspiring story where she was homeless and music kind of saved her and helped her out of this. She sang Love on Top by Beyonce. And we always say this, but singing a Beyonce song is risky because everybody knows it. Everybody loves Beyonce. But Beyonce is an insane vocalist, especially this song is so rangy. And Tiana, like, not just sang it, she sang it. Her voice, what I like about it, is consistent from top to bottom. There wasn't one note she sang that wasn't powerful. And I think she knows when to hold back. And this is what makes her such a strong performer. She knows when to hold back and then knows when to let you have it. And she looks like she's having fun on stage. She sort of has like a Janelle Monáe vibe when she's singing, and it's just infectious. And I'm so excited to see what she does next. And I think this is one of the best performances that we saw tonight. Okay, next up we have, oh shoot, I wrote his name wrong. I think it's Rayvon Owen. He's saying Sam Smith. He's great. He's been consistently good. I think he's gonna need to have an aha moment, and I've been a big fan of him for the show, mainly because we have the same wardrobe. But I think he needs to do something left to center and really shock us, because I think he's been consistent, but nobody's like, oh, he's gonna win the show. So I'm trying to think, I don't know, let us know what you guys think he should do as well. But maybe like I don't know, maybe if he even did like a Taylor Swift song or something and sort of like soul-fold it up. I don't know if soul-fold's even a word, but Rayvon, try that. Okay, next up was Shannon Brittlemule, and she's a 17-year-old who, this was her first live performance ever. And considering that this was an insane performance, she's only 17, and to get up when you're 17 and sing the first time live at the House of Blues is a huge thing. But then to do that well while you're doing it, I feel like is only going to get better. My only critique of this song is because her voice is so similar to Janis Joplin, I think the song choice was a little too obvious. And I think she has to really be careful to sing current songs. And I would say maybe she should sing like Paramore or something like a little more, or even like an Avril Lavigne, something that's a little more pop rock and current, and she can put her own spin on it. Because I think just singing old Janis Joplin songs, it's going to make you not connect to younger kids that are voting. And you really want them behind you, especially if you're only 17. So the final of the night that we know who made it is Jax, and she has been our favorite. She sang Lady Gaga, You and I. And what she did when she took that break, I thought was actually a good idea. And then it's a good idea if you can like sing your song, take a break, and then get like the anticipation building for you to get back into it. But she sang a song, took the break, and then the crowd wasn't feeling it. And then I felt like she didn't know what to do. So she just like kind of drew it out way too long, and it became uncomfortable. And what's funny is they came back and they sang these songs to us right after, and she cut the break out. And she was one of my favorite to watch perform from the top 24 as well. But I don't think she has anything to be worried about. I will be shocked if she's not in the top 10, because she has a look. She has an insane voice. She can play piano. As long as, I think next time we see her, she should do a super unplugged ballad just to kind of remind us of her soft side. And I think she has to maybe play up her soft side a little bit more, just because you have to keep in mind that it's not all young people watching the show. It's a lot of people in middle America who maybe aren't used to seeing like crazy girls on the show. So I think as long as she tones it down, she has a chance at being a front runner, in my opinion. So the final one of the night was Hollywood Anderson, and that's the tease for tomorrow. I cannot tell you if he makes it. I do know. But what do you guys think? Tweet me tonight and let's see if you're right. That's all we have. So I think that's half of the top 24. But honestly, so far, these people we have, I think we have a really strong top 10. I really liked the contestants last season, but I think it's already, as a whole, the contestants are better this season than they were last. For news and gossip, I believe we go, I don't know what's happening next week, but we'll have the rest of the top 24 down, and Idol will have lots of videos for you to watch them. If you guys stuck with me the whole way through this, thank you. Tweet at JC, Steffi, and Violet and tell them you don't want them back. You just want me here by myself. For everybody at AfterBuzz TV, this has been American Idol. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Jason Ikeler, and you can find AfterBuzz everywhere at AfterBuzz TV. We will see you guys back in here next week.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
See you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.